Hello everyone, welcome to our show. Tap in. This is Tawanda Mrepa. I'm your host, and today we are going to discuss about COVID-19 and mental health. So before we go further, so let me just tell you what happened last week. So last week we talked about COVID-19 and and how family can help to deal with stress-related issues. Then we also discussed about the spirituality aspect, how the spirituality of someone can help to do away with COVID-19 related stress, and also discussed about the uncertainty that is brought by COVID-19. So today we are going to talk about stress related, especially focusing on adolescents. So we are going to hear more about what are adolescents and also the issues to do with addiction pertaining to COVID-19 and also how they should cope. So in the studio, we have our guest. Can you introduce yourself, guys?
Thank you, Mr. Tawanda. My name is Fungai Jawetu Gwiriri, and I'm the founder and director of Zoe Counseling and Training Center Trust. I'm a theologian and I'm also a family therapist, and I'm so glad to be invited to participate in this show today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chawanda, for inviting me to this platform. It's a pleasure for me to be here among you. I'm an undergraduate psychology student from India. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right. So, Mr. Fungai, what do you understand about adolescence? What are adolescents before we go any further?
So the way I do understand an adolescent is, as defined, we're looking at children who are between the ages of 10 to 24. Um, as they grow up, as they live childhood to begin to become mature, and this is a stage whereby children are beginning to differentiate themselves from their family system, and they're trying to identify their individuality and to celebrate that they are an individual from other systems.
Okay, so there's an issue of identification.
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you. Mr. Chewari, what do you understand about adolescence in your own words? And also, you can highlight what is stress on your own understanding as well.
Okay. So like I'll just add on to the points spoken earlier. Firstly, adolescents are individuals ranging from age 10 to age 24, and adolescents are more prone to stress in the sense that I'm still an adolescent. I'll just share my own experience. Uh, we are just like still in the growing phase. We are still exploring. We are still experimenting with who we are, with our identities, with our personal self. So there are many times, there are multiple occasions when we come across mishaps or maybe negative experience, and even traumas in some cases. Talking about stress, like stress is a natural response of the body when we encounter a physical or a mental obstacle, and our body tends to like cope with the stress. It's a mechanism of the body to cope with the obstacles that we encounter on our way.
Okay, so on your own definition, you said that is the mechanism of the body to actually respond to what is going on, especially maybe the attention going on from mentally, emotional, and physical. So, is stress bad, Mr. Fungai? Is stress always bad or good?
Okay, so yes, thank you very much. I believe that stress is good and it is also bad. That's why we talk about distress, and we also talk about eustress. So stress is good when it motivates you to participate, to carry out an activity, and it is bad when it has gone to the point that you're no longer able to perform anything, any activity, and it has overwhelmed you. So for a human being, it is very normal. It's normal for you to have stress and to be going through stress, but it mustn't be too much and it mustn't be too less. It must be in the middle. Therefore, we talk about good and we talk also about bad stress.
Wonderful. So now we are going to discuss about what are the stresses or the stressors that adolescents are going through in terms of COVID-19. Tewari, can you?
Yeah. So before we move ahead, I think that we must be aware of the connection between stress and disorders, and the need to not let our stress turn into distress, right? So there's this model known as stress diathesis model that attempts to explain the onset of mental health problems and stress disorders. It says that everyone has a level of risk for disorders, and to which stress adds, and when there's enough of stress and trauma, the symptoms in our physical and mental self and disorders tend to emerge. Now, we need to learn how to decrease this risk and cope in times of stress and difficulties. So there are various factors when we are considering stress. There are social factors, there are biological factors, there are mental factors. We must not forget that human beings are biopsychosocial organisms, which means that we reflect the interplay of our biological, psychological, and social influences. For example, stress and hormones affect how we feel and act. And another example, social ostracism elevates our blood pressure and causes anxiety. And social support, on the other hand, strengthens the immune system, and so on and so forth.
Okay, all right. Now we want to discuss specifically in terms of COVID-19. What is going on among our adolescents? What are the real stressors? What is going on inside their mind? Are they experiencing good or bad stresses? So, Mr. Fungai, can you highlight on that one?
Tawanda, I think, COVID, when it came, it brought a lot of changes. We had to adjust it, and I adjusted, and I think you can understand that even from the government point of sight, they're now talking about the new normal, which means that things have changed. And so even within the family system, things have changed, and they have changed greatly and unexpectedly. So for kids, for young people, for adolescents, it comes with much pressure. And some of the things that I can highlight as of now is that the only issue is to do with being restricted and being kept at home with the lockdown. You are not allowed to go out and play with other kids. You are always locked in the house. And yes, it's okay for a day, for 2 days, for a week. But if it goes beyond that, now it becomes something else to the child, because our children, they are always hyperactive. They want to run around. They don't want to be restricted, and this brings pressure on the young kids. Relationships, they have been strained. We have read, and each and every day we are reading about domestic violence, which is rising within family systems. And when this is happening between a father and a mom, between a husband and a wife, and in the presence of children, it also brings in pressure to the children to be observing these misunderstandings that are happening. Remember, we were not used to be spending the whole day together, myself and my wife. Therefore, when things begin to come into tension, and when there's tension that is existing between the two, it brings so much pressure to the kids. Changes in terms of schooling, they had to adjust. Children had to adjust to to learn on the internet, and this on its own, he has also brought some pressure on the adolescents, because some were managing to do online lessons and others were not. And I'm just looking at those who are coming from poorly resourced background. They don't have access to internet. They don't have access even to online, and how they were feeling in terms of others are progressing and others are learning. So all this, I believe, have been causing a lot of challenges to our young people. Not if I think I can also mention the aspect of losses, that we have experienced a lot of losses. Many parents have lost jobs due to COVID-19, and this is impacting negatively to our children. So losses in terms of death, losses in terms of unemployment, losses in terms of income for those who are not employed, but they had sources of income in terms of running around to Beitbridge, to Zambia, to make a living. But now everything was shut down. And it will impact negatively on the kids, because they also lose some of the necessities that they need on daily basis.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much for highlighting those. Yeah, we talk about the increase of sexual abuse, especially among the adolescents. The increase of early child marriages, also the increase of gender-based violences. We are experiencing those in our homes, and young people are also affected. And now you also highlighted something to do with social media, and yeah, it's one of the topics that we are going to discuss today, especially on the addictions of social media. We find out that a lot of young people are now addicted to social media. Yes, everything is now on social media. They learn on social media. They communicate on social media. And also they date on social media. So what is the impact of social media into their day-to-day life, especially on adolescents? Tewari, can you add up something?
Yeah. So as rightly pointed out, social support and social interaction always has played and always will play a major role in the mental well-being of every individual. So in the pandemic, talking about social media, in the pandemic, social media outgrew its role as an extension of people's life to being a primary mode of communication. Platforms like Twitter and Instagram were able to amplify requests for resources, be it medicines, beds, or oxygen cylinders, making us wonder how only a few months ago they were literally filled with food recipes, fitness videos, and real challenges. I mean, this evolving nature of social media has been extremely intriguing for me individually. The youth, being the majority user of social media, believes that social media has been both a curse and a blessing during the times of COVID-19, just like a double-edged sword. On the plus side, the younger population of Generation Z says that access to social media and being able to interact with friends and family has been helpful, which means that in the absence of physical proximity, online spaces have helped users to connect with one another, with nearly a quarter saying social media has helped them boost their mood and sense of well-being, while over a third feel that it has had a bad effect. Because of the pandemic, we are experiencing high levels of stress, due to which decline in mental health has been observed in most scenarios. The thing to note is that only a small part of the young age group is comfortable about talking, about their mental health. So, for those who say that social media has been helpful, the majority of them say that this is because it allows them to connect with friends and family, and the rest believe that this has also acted as a distraction and a useful tool to pass the time. Because boredom is a very widely observed phenomena after the lockdown happened. And for those who have a positive attitude towards social media, it is a source of news for them. But again, it is this flow of news and information that has become a double-edged sword. The number of negative stories cited by majority of the population is as the main reason why social media has had a negative impact on their lives during the pandemic.
Social media can be good and social media can be bad. All right. Now we are realizing that there's an increase among the time that an individual spend usually on their phones or on their laptop. And what is causing that? Is it a psychological disorder or is something going on? And also you mentioned something to do with the negative stories that might also trigger someone to, even to commit suicide. You know, we heard those stories on social media platforms. So, Mr. Fungayo, how do you view it? Is it a psychological problem? Is it a psychological dependence, or it is now becoming an addiction among our young people, especially the adolescents?
Okay, so Mr. Tawanda, I think what you just need to understand when you talk about addiction is you start taking something, or if you are talking about online social media, okay, you start by having time, which is normal on social media, and you feel fun and you feel excited, but there comes a time whereby just texting, just watching the video, just playing games becomes kind of an addiction, because you feel like you still need to add more time, you need more time to enjoy, you need more time. So that's how you become addicted, because the time that you have been spending on social media platforms from the start is always increased, and you need to get that satisfaction. It's more like when you're taking drugs, that you take, if it is a bottle of beer, you take once, but at the end of the day, as days go by, you will see that 1 pint will not make you high. So you need to take 2, you need to take 3, hence you are getting addicted. And this is what happens now with being online as kids. So at the end of the day, so much time is spent on social media because you're trying to say, I need to occupy my time. And remember, if you are restricted within the household, you don't have any other activity to do, but the gadget is always at your exposure. And these gadgets now, they will expose you to more information that you have never accessed. I've been looking to how our kids are getting addicted to social media. Is from the beginning, you would love texting, and then you go on to, now you want to have some movies, and now these days we're talking about live sex, whereby kids or people or adults are having sex through social media, but on live. This means you are getting addicted. You want to satisfy that ego, and it takes time. It doesn't come within a day or within a week. So this creates problems for our children. So you really need to discipline yourself when it comes to time that you need to spend on social media. But I just wanted to say, social media for me, yes, it has brought good things, but mostly it has affected our children in a negative way.
Okay, yeah, thank you. On social media, you can make money. On social media, you can also become an addict. So as a person, as young people out there who are watching, it's up to you. You choose what you want to do with the social media platform. And also to our parents, I think they should monitor the kids when it comes to social media. Now there's a lot of things going on, pornography, people are watching video chats, there's a lot of things going on the social media platforms that may end up someone being addicted. In psychology, we have this dopamine, a mind that is created to reward. When someone like your post on social media, you just feel like, wow, I'm good. And then the second one, feel like, wow. The moment that you keep on like, wow, those likes, those comments, they are creating craving for more. So the moment that you crave for addict, and then your mind, you become addicted. Okay, so now let us talk about how to help each other now, how to cope with the stress that we discussed about, and also how to cope also with the social media addiction that is coming in, especially on our adolescents. So I'll start with you, Tewari. How best can someone cope with stress?
Okay, I'll just firstly add on a negative side to the social media that we missed. A very huge downfall to the increase in the usage of social media is the decrease in our attention span. And we must always consider that, remember that this factor does not only affect the adolescents, but people of all age groups. So, one of the main reasons why attention spans are falling is due to the sheer amount of information that is being presented to people everywhere. So, we now have so much information available for us to consume, and so little time to consume it. So it has become very clear that the size of the allocated attention time in our collective brains cannot keep up with the amount of information we are trying to consume and we are trying to remember. So because of this, we have basically, in a way, trained ourselves to focus on things for very short bursts of time before moving on to the next thing. So, moving ahead, talking about coping techniques. So, like before moving on to other methods, let's just talk about grounding techniques. It's extremely necessary for us as they serve as a first aid, and when we are around people experiencing an episode of anxiety. So that there's a very famous and very commonly used grounding technique, which is referred to as the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding technique, in which we start from the number 5 and work our way down to 1, asking the individual of, like, for example, like we'll begin with 5 and we'll ask them about 5 things that they can see around themselves. Then we'll ask them about 4 things that they can touch around themselves, and so on and so forth, leading to 1 where we'll ask them maybe to acknowledge 1 thing that they can taste in the present moment. So what we need to remember is that, however, a more customized grounding technique always seems to work better, which means that we can take the individual back to one of their happy days and help them recall other happy moments in their life through our cues. It has more risks to however, it has more risks attached to it, in the sense that we must always be careful as to not bring up a triggering memory or incident from the person's life. Other coping techniques can be like exercise, which is something that has always been recommended to tackle common mental health problems, as research observes like an overlap between major lifestyle conditions and mental health diseases, the overlap between coronary art diseases and coronary artery diseases and clinical depression. And people with diseases and people with these diseases are 2 to 3 times more likely to develop depression. So when we exercise, we release hormones like oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine that bring the feeling of happiness along with it. Another thing that is often advised by therapists and mental health professionals is to own a pet. So basically, pet ownership is often recommended as it is directly related to the release of oxytocin. And pets are often catalysts for increased physical activity and also offer them with chances of social interaction with other pet owners to begin with. Other methods can be opted that can be opted are maintaining a proper and healthy sleeping routine that helps us in our daily activities, focusing and concentration on a daily basis. Practicing mindfulness, that is being present in the moment, being present here and now in the moment. To like For beginners, we have various apps that provide guided mindfulness sessions, and there are various steps that as one progresses, as they get used to, as they evolve, they can even practice mindfulness on their own without any guidance and support. Next, we have relaxation techniques like breathing. We have various types of breathing techniques, like maybe bubble breathing or 4-7-8 breathing. And bubble breathing is basically breathing in bursts of breath. And there's also deep breathing, in which we lay down, we keep our hand on our belly, and we feel the rise and fall of our chest while we breathe slowly. And sometimes counting while breathing is also very helpful. This is where the 4-7-8 technique comes into place, where we inhale and we count till 4. We hold the breath we count till 7, and while exhaling we count till 8. So we must note about one thing, that one must practice these strategies when calm, when one is not experiencing, when one is not in a state of crisis, so that the application of these techniques while they are stressed and in a state of crisis is easier and more effective.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chawari. Mr. Fungai, do you have anything to add on the stress strategies?
One thing that I just wanted to highlight, Mr. Tawanda, for is that if you are addicted to be online, we tend to say that young people, they spend more time and less time for sleeping. I have always seen parents who let their children get into their rooms to sleep, but they allow them to go to sleep with their gadgets. And I want to warn the parents that for real, your kids are not sleeping. They are not finding enough sleep because they are always online. Even if you think that they are sleeping, they are not sleeping. Hence, the first thing that we may talk about in terms of dealing or coping with stress is that they need more time. They need more time to sleep. They need more time to relax. So don't allow your child to get into his or her bedroom with a gadget. Let them get in and sleep and monitor them. Make sure that they are asleep. I also encourage our young people to become real. Don't always be online. You can have other activities that are not related to online. You can play the snakes and ladder games. You can play the chess game. Play other games that are natural. Take away time from the gadget and be real and be yourself. Engage physically with your family members. That will help. That will heal on its own. And I also say that you need to discipline yourself. Always tell yourself that I have time to be online and I have time not to be online. I want to be myself. So discipline yourself to say, I go online from this hour to this hour. I will check my emails. I will check my WhatsApp messages. I will play the game for 2 hours, for 3 hours, and other hours, allocate them. Manage your time. Allocate your time to do other things besides the gadgets. Put away the phone, put away the computer, put it off, switch it off, and do other things. It will give you won't have pressure on yourself. And also, I would want to add to say, open up, talk to an adult, a trusted adult. It may be your parent, it may be your pastor, it may be someone. Open up and tell them that I'm getting addicted, I need help. Find help before it gets worse. So talk to someone whom you trust and open up and find help. Again, seek professional help. Seek professional help from counselors. Call Brother Tawanda and his organization. Call Zoe. We are there. Call Childline. Call any other organizations that are professional, that will give professional help. Don't stay by yourself with that pressure, with that stress. Seek professional help. And
Okay.
I think for the last thing I can say, come up with a homemade kind of a gym that is within your home, within your house, so that you make exercises. You exercise in the morning, you exercise in the evening. That will help you build a resilient emotionally. So this is what I can say is we are trying to say you need to cope with COVID-19. Always make sure that you look after yourself. No one will look after you, but you are responsible for your health.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I think you just sum up the whole presentation. Mr. Chawari, do you have anything to add on to sum up as we are concluding?
I mean,
Some
Mr. Guy just excuse me. I can't hear you. Like,
Something that you'd want our viewers to know, assumption of what we just discussed.
okay. Okay. So I'll like almost everything has been covered, but I'll just emphasize on the importance of early intervention. So like, firstly, we must always remember, as Mr. Fugai rightly pointed out, that help is always available. It's literally always available. It's always around you. You just need to look for it. We can like it's not always necessary to find help in your family members or your friends. If you feel that you are experiencing, you're going through a problem and your family and your friends won't understand it, please just reach out to a professional, reach out to a mental health professional, reach out to a psychologist, a therapist, someone who you'd like to talk to, and you feel that they'll provide you with a solution from a non-judgmental perspective. So like the thing about early intervention is very important, that it means that that one must always intervene at an early stage to slow down the progression of symptoms as they move along, to prevent like prevent or even cure illnesses before it leads to a social or functional disability in their lives. So like when we talk about this, it's not always about like it doesn't matter what illness we are talking about. It may be autism, it may be depression, it may be psychosis, it may be it may be like a widely observed thing as anxiety. And the focus is always to help the person keep the life that matters and stay connected, because even if one gets better and has lost all the other stuff, they will still be a whole lot worse because they won't have the things that they already had. And the types of interventions are pretty much need based. I mean, like that almost covers it up. The like one more thing that I'll focus on is that we must know that there are three dimensions to our positive mental health. The first is emotional well-being, which refers to feeling good, being happy, experiencing positive emotions, and an inner feeling of life satisfaction. The second is psychological well-being, which means functioning well and contributing in life. And the third is social well-being, which means having a sense of connectivity to others, as we are social organisms, and a feeling of belongingness to a community and contributing to the society in some or the other way. So that almost like more or less sums it up.
Okay, Mr. Fungai, can you just, a quick, maybe a minute or less?
All right, thanks, Mr. Chawanda. I think what I can just say is help is available, like what has been said. We are there to help you. We are there to offer help. And also, above all, seek support from the spirituality. Appeal to your Most High, appeal to your God, appeal to that deity that you believe in whenever you feel like you can't make it. But I believe, tell yourself that yes, you can make it and you can get out of stress. That's what I can say.
Okay, thank you so much to our guest, Mr. Chewari. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you so much, Mr. Fungai, for being here with us. We discussed issues to do with adolescent stress. What are adolescents? What are stresses that usually affect adolescents in terms of COVID-19? And also we discussed about social media addictions. Our adolescents are spending much of the time on social media platforms. And then we also know that social media is good and also social media is bad. And, adolescents should be real because, usually people post best of their moments on social media. They don't post bad moments. And also we discuss on how to cope with stress. We talk about exercise, talk about the 5 techniques. We talk about, and also there is issue of hygiene. Hygiene also helps a lot when it comes to stress, especially stress management. Spread up your bed, make sure that your room is clean. All right. So thank you so much for our viewers. Thank you for watching Tap In. Until we meet again next week, we are going to talk about psychosocial support and mental health for primary school children. that will be interest. Thank you so much.